All right, so what right off the bat, who are you picking? Who do you think's got the better QB? I know it's tough to pick. I mean, UW, who knows? But
Yeah.
who are you feeling?
Well, like you said, we don't really know who UW's starting quarterback is going to be, and like we talked before the show, we're not going to know until right before the
Yeah.
game. But I mean, same thing with the question that Gus asked. Jebby has got a game under his belt. I think that first game was a good way to really shake off his own cobwebs, shake off those nerves, and actually, get into the groove of things. And especially for him, because that was his first true start as the Oregon State quarterback. He's been in the offense for 2 years now, and he was behind Jake Luton last year. So, I mean, he's got experience. He's got that first game under his belt. And I think that he has the slight advantage when it comes to being prepared. But skill-wise, I don't really know because we don't really know who's going to be out there for UW. So I would give it to Jebbia just because he already has a game under his belt and he's already been there and ready to play.
Yeah, this is actually a spot where I'm agreeing with you. Pretty much the same reasons. I mean, you've got Jebbia for Oregon State, who this is his second start this year, and he actually started against Oregon last year, didn't he, to end the game or end the season?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure Jake Luton started and then got hurt pretty early on, and then they threw Jebbia in there, and he had a pretty good game against a pretty good Oregon team there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at. I mean, Jebbia's had 2 basically full game experiences, and in both games, he's thrown for over 300 yards. He hasn't thrown an interception. At least I didn't see any. I mean, 2 touchdowns against Oregon, against Wazoo, 330 yards and a touchdown. But then you get to the UW quarterbacks. I mean, who are you picking? Ethan Garbers, Dylan Morris, Jacob Sermon, Kevin Thompson. You've got so many guys. Neither one of them separated themselves, I guess, for the camp. And it's tough to pick a quarterback who you don't actually know who it is. With Jebbia, you've got experience, and especially you mentioned it in the Oregon State offense. I mean, he's been there 2 years, you said, under Jonathan Smith, the head coach. And then with UW, kind of the talk has been Kevin Thompson or maybe Dylan Morris to start. And Dylan Morris is a redshirt freshman, so not as much experience. Kevin Thompson is a graduate transfer to UW, so this is his first year here. Again, not that much experience or no experience under UW. So it's tough to pick a quarterback who you don't actually know. And that's why I got to go with Jebbia just off of experience.
Yeah, the only reason I wouldn't have too much faith in Jebbia is that defense that UW has, and that defense is definitely going to rattle him. I can already guarantee that at the beginning of that game, he's going to have another slow first quarter, maybe even second quarter, like he did against WSU, and it's mainly just going to be because of that offensive line. If that offensive line can hold and give him time to actually stay back in the pocket and pick the right spots, he's going to have the advantage there. But it's also Jebbia against a really good UW defense, and then whoever UW picks as quarterback for that game against a lackluster OSU defense. So even without the inexperience, I can kind of feel that it might even out in that situation.
Yeah, I think Jebbia might, or the Oregon State might have kind of the better quarterback off experience, but I'm not thinking he's going to do that well. I don't think he's going to be that successful against that Washington defense that has these studs on the back end and some great pass rushers. I mean, they lost a couple guys to opt-outs, but they have some great seniors still on the D-line and up-and-coming sophomores. And Jebbia, I'd like to get your opinion on this. I think you mentioned it a bit in your Beaver Dash, how he's got a great stat line, but you didn't think you really took many risks or put him in position to win. Didn't you mention that?
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was his biggest issue in the first game was how slow he started. And it wasn't until the end that he really started actually trying to take more chances against that WSU defense. Now, when it comes to the UW defense, I have a feeling that it's going to be the same way. You know, he's going to come out slow. He's going to be a little nervous, and that UW defense is definitely going to give him a little bit of a run for his money. It could be another day where he doesn't take a lot of chances, and it's kind of a check down day looking for Jamar Jefferson or looking for the short game. And I don't think that's going to work out in OSU's favor. If you're just trying to chip away against a good defense, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I think Jebbia, if he wants to be successful against UW, he's going to have to play like he did at the end of the Wazoo game when you kind of put it all out on the line and start slinging it, trying to make big plays. Because, I mean, a game manager can only get you so far, especially against a great defense. Bringing it back to kind of the UW quarterbacks and kind of focusing in on Kevin Thompson, I think he's going to be the starter. He kind of presents something that UW hasn't had in a while. Kevin Thompson is a guy who he can throw from the pocket, but he's also a very mobile quarterback. How do you think Oregon State could deal with kind of a mobile quarterback? I didn't watch much of the game, but Jaden Delora, is he a mobile quarterback? How'd Oregon State's D do?
Well, see, that was one of the problems. Every time that Oregon State truly actually got an opportunity to get at the quarterback, Delora left the pocket and went for about 10, 15 yards every time. So, I mean, if he is more of a mobile quarterback with the quarterback you think that they're going to go with at UW, that could be a big issue for OSU. But it was also one of those things where Hamilcar is supposed to be one of the best defenders in all of college football at this point, and he didn't really show up at all. As in Beaver Dash, me and Gus mentioned, he pretty much went ghost for the whole game and had no impact on that game. So if he can show up in this UW game, I think that he might be one of the biggest contributors to keeping, a quarterback from actually having a lot of rushing yards against us, because, he's a quick, athletic, knowledgeable guy. But when he doesn't show up for games, it kind of puts that defense at a loss. So it kind of depends on if our best defender can actually show up and play in that game.